This video is a Glassnode tutorial. We're going to go through the entire Glassnode platform, which is a massive suite of on-chain analytics and crypto data. One of the best resources for looking at real fundamental on-chain data, the flow of assets, the profitability, the fundamental usage statistics, and everything else. I'll show you exactly how to navigate Glassnode, how to use a lot of these different charts and on-chain metrics as well, how to navigate the system, and then some key tips throughout the video. Timestamps for everything down in the description. We can start by creating a Glassnode account then. So come through to Glassnode and just sign up with an email address. I'll leave the link to Glassnode in the description just to go through to the site if you don't have an account yet. Now, free versus paid. Yes, some of the more simple metrics are free. You can also get insights as well. This is completely free. Just sign up and you can get these delivered. These are a lot of the best metrics, and Glassnode analyze a lot of things here and actually tell you about them. So I would recommend just reading those free insights anyway. Now, if you do want to look at the payment options, standard is free always, and then there's an advanced feature which you can get a free trial for. So I'd recommend just signing up, seeing if that data is for you. If it isn't, you can just cancel and not pay for it and get all of the free stuff anyway. Once you've got your account set up, the homepage right here just takes you through some quick links to all of the different versions of the site, which we're going to go through. We'll come to the dashboards feature first on Glassnode. This is great if you're a beginner. Glassnode just give us a ton of data and then explain that data as well. So if you are new and you're thinking on-chain is just way too complex and it doesn't actually give you any info, we'll click on dashboards and we can actually just read some of Glassnode's explanations. They talk us through what all of these on-chain metrics are doing, how they work, why they're important, and how we can maybe determine the health of these networks from that data. So the first one is, if we just click on dashboards, you can click it up here as well. We're going to look at the Bitcoin dashboards here. This is just an overview. And firstly, we can see very, very simple metrics. So if we scroll down here, we can see the Bitcoin inflation rate. So as we know, Bitcoin is a fixed supply asset, although it started at 0 and it's going to work its way to 21 million. And so there is some inflation in the coin as of right now, which gets cut in half at the halving every 4 years. And you can see where the halving occurs and the inflation rate gets cut in half each time and how that reacts to the price. So the layout of these is usually the price of the crypto that you're looking at in black and then the on-chain metric in orange. And you can look at them and see if there's any relationship between that metric and how it affects the price over time. We can also see the current inflation rate of Bitcoin is around 1.7%, something like that right now. It changes a little bit. And then after the next halving, that will get cut again. But what's great is that we can see fundamental data. So if you're a really long-term investor or you're looking not just at price, but also at fundamentals, that's what on-chain data is going to give you. We can see here Bitcoin number of active addresses. Obviously, for a long-term investor, you're looking at the networks having to grow their users over time. So active addresses or active users, you would want this to be going up and to the right and growing as a network. We can see that during bull markets where the price peaks, we get a big surge in number of active addresses, which makes sense. You have people selling some and more buyers coming into the market. What would be good to see the general trend of growth is really from one bear market to the next. So price bear market here, we can see the number of active addresses was around 500,000. During the next bear market, we can see the number of active addresses looking around 600,000 to 700,000. And then during the most recent, you're looking at almost 1 million active addresses. So bear market to bear market, number of active addresses is growing, showing that this is in an uptrend generally, because you can't really compare bull markets because that's not really the thing to compare. So you can see all of these on-chain metrics, which is really great. However, if we click into Bitcoin, then we're going to look at some other metrics right here. So again, all of this is what Glassnode give us as to what they think is important. So we're going to be looking at on-chain activity. So we're going to click that. And then anything that's important or slightly more complex, they're going to give us the information about exactly what it is, why it's important, and how it may affect things. And so I think this is really great if you are a beginner just to see this. I won't go through exactly what all of these metrics are, but you can, of course, get this free education besides each and every on-chain metric. And we can see all of them just side by side to see exactly how Glassnode, in their experience, think that it's going to affect the price or the trends over time. Now, something else we can look at is Ethereum. And what we're going to look at is post-merge supply dynamics. So again, for Bitcoin and ETH, you just get all of this data And what we're looking at is how does on-chain data and how does that change and how does that affect the price? So if we let this load, what we can see is Ethereum went through the merge, which is when they, or at least wanted to cut future supply of ETH. So as long as the network is used to a certain amount, an amount of ETH should be burned, taking that out of supply, which should in theory support the price over the long term. And that's what you can see here. So what we can see is that the price of ETH is here, and then the net supply of ETH since the merge has gone negative. Now that should in theory support the price, because what's happening is fees are being paid on the network, and that is burning ETH out of supply. So a reduction in the supply, given similar, same or rising demand, should support the price over time. So before the merge, when they were proof of work, you can see there was actually a amount of supply that was being into production every month. And then after the merge, when they went to proof of stake, this is Ethereum being taken out of production. So it's actually a negative supply over time, a little bit like a stock buyback, if you know what that is. But you can see that the supply dynamics, proof of stake net inflation rate, we have inflation here, and then the merge, and then there's actually a reduction in the ETH supply from the burning of fees. So there is a ton of data to go through just on these dashboards, and everything on the left-hand side is explained for you by Glassnode. Now we're going to come to the charts feature on Glassnode, and there's two aspects to this. You have charts, and then you have Workbench. Now charts are just very simply all of the data that Glassnode can give you. So it's literally everything within crypto, all of the on-chain stuff you can see, all of the asset flows and everything like that for all of the, mostly all of the cryptos, all of the large cryptos. Workbench is where you can take this chart data and contrast and compare it and pull it around in any way that you want. So I'll get onto Workbench in a second. We'll just go through charts here initially then. So firstly, we can look at all of the top cryptos. If you scroll down, you can see pretty much every top crypto you can have a look at. There might not be as much data for some of them and as for others. Bitcoin is going to have the most amount of data for its network in terms of proof of work and everything, but other applications may not have that, but they're going to have relevant data for what type of asset that they are. We'll click on Bitcoin just as an example here. So it's all on the left-hand side. You can see a huge amount. We're going to click on addresses. You have all of this data. Now, T1, I believe, is free. So if you're just using it as the free version, T1 data is going to be for free. T2, I think, is the next version up. And then I believe T3 is potentially that, kind of enterprise grade. So probably no one's going to go for that one. But T2 gives you vast majority of data. So just clicking on these, we can see address with balance of more than 0.01. And this is just simple chart data. Now, this is showing that the amount of addresses with Bitcoin in them, just a tiny amount, is at an all-time high. And then if we look at address balance with more than 0.1, so again, a decent amount of crypto for an individual investor, you're looking at all-time high. Now, if you're looking at addresses with more than 10, that seems to be fairly flat, especially through the bull market. So what you can see here is that during the last bull market, when the price was topping out, addresses with more than 10 Bitcoin reduced. And that suggests to me that people that were invested in with a decent amount of Bitcoin back here were essentially selling out during the top of the bull market and were selling out a pretty good time, right? An all-time high. Now, as this bear market has taken place, addresses with a balance of 10 are actually picking up again. So what you're seeing is fairly large investors were selling the bull market and accumulating back again in the bear market. Quite clever, and you can see that data. So you can see all of this data over time, new addresses and everything. So if we go back to all categories, what's great as well is that we can see how other parts of the Bitcoin network are going. So Lightning network capacity, and we'll see the amount of Lightning nodes right here. So what is this showing? This is the price of Bitcoin over time. This is the Lightning network, which is one of the layer 2 networks on Bitcoin, looking to scale payments, make payments a little bit cheaper. And essentially it's, going towards new all-time highs again. So it looks like the Lightning network over time is growing. Fundamental investors, this is really the data you want to look at, right? Is the network growing? Are more users coming on? And is it proliferating over time? So there's a lot of data to look at here. And as you can see, market, profit and loss, lots of different ratios. We'll look at the supply right here, adjusted supply, issuance, inflation rate. It's all here. You can go through them yourself, but you can just very easily click on this, and then you can change the resolution of the dates and everything like that. So maybe we'll look at a resolution of a day, and then you can put a simple moving average on there as well. So we can apply that. And it's fairly simple charting. Now, it gets a lot more complex when you go over to Workbench. We'll look at Workbench then and how we can manipulate data in Glassnode. It is really great. Also, if you're looking for a more simple explanation and introduction to on-chain, I've got these videos in the Crypto Investor course that just go through some on-chain data. If you're looking for something in particular, you can just message me in the private Discord groups as well to go through one piece of data that you're looking at. There's thousands of people in there that can help you out as well. And if you need a specific video, I can just add that to the course for you for free. So, check the Crypto Investor course in the description. I'll link it down there for you. So we're going to come to Workbench. Now, what we want to do is look at some metrics and actually change these around. So Workbench allows you to manipulate metrics and compare and contrast them over time. So what we start with is the Bitcoin chart. So you can actually change this. You can create chart in the top left. So if you click that, you can create a new chart, and that just puts it into My Charts for you. And then you can save them and edit them over time. What we're going to look at is the Bitcoin price. So we have that here, right? BTC price right here. You can click add, and then you can see price. So if you want to look at the Ethereum price or anything else, formulas and metrics. So we'll go through adding one metric and manipulating it for right now. So we have the Bitcoin price here. And what I want to look at is just one simple on-chain metric. So click add, and then we're going to add a metric here. And then I'm going to look at all of these metrics that you can add onto the chart. So this would be like looking at charts very simply if you don't want to manipulate this. But I'm just going to look at the realized price like this. So we're going to click that, and we should be in here. So I'm going to click add. Obviously for Bitcoin, because I'm looking at the Bitcoin chart. So we're going to click that on, and then that's just going to put that data on the chart for me. So now what we have here is realized price plotted against the Bitcoin price. Now, when you add a metric, you can see M1 and M2 here. So metric 1, metric 2. You can see that they're on different price axis and scales. And so what happens is you see that on the right and left-hand side, the different axis, right? So this should be the Bitcoin price axis, and this should be the realized price axis or scale as well. So what we're going to do here is put them on the same scale just to see how they react. So I'm going to go to axis here, and I'm going to click Y1 for that. Now what that does is puts the realized price axis on my BTC price axis, and now we can see the chart more clearly. Now what is realized price? Realized price is the on-chain price, which is where coins are spent on-chain rather than the price of Bitcoin in the market. So that's different, right? When coins move on-chain, they're going to be at a certain price over time. If they come into a wallet at one price and then are spent at another price, that's the realized price when they're spent. And what realized price does is give us a fairly decent downward capitulation zone for BTC. So if we look at the price right here in black, what we can see is that when it comes down to near or below the realized price, that tends to be a bear market. So you had a bear market here, you had a drawdown bear market here, you had a drawdown bear market here, and we had a drawdown bear market here. And each time the actual price of Bitcoin comes into or just below the realized price. Now, if you're a long-term investor, buying during drawdowns when the price comes down a little bit to the realized price would potentially be a better time to accumulate over time. So we can add as many metrics as you want onto this, manipulate them as you want. So the resolution, we can change whatever we want, and we can see, we can change colors as well. So let's change that to something like purple or blue like this, and it changes, right? So now we have a downside. I'm going to change this to red actually for the downside, and both axis is the same, Y1, but you can change that around. Now what we can do is add different metrics onto the chart or just manipulate the ones we have already. So we have realized price, which is showing us good capitulation bottoms. Now what we want to do is look at a metric that is going to show us blow off tops, right? So we have bottom and top, and that's what we want to look at. Now you can go to add metric, and then you can search for some metric that's going to show you potentially blow off tops. There are a few out there, but what I'm going to do is show you how to manipulate a metric that you already have. So we've got realized price, which is the M2, metric 2. We're going to go to add formula, and that brings up the formula box. Now, if you're good at writing formulas, you can just simply write any formula in here. So you can, multiply something, you can look for a simple moving average of it. these available functions are really useful. So you can just click these and it's going to make it. So simple moving average, exponential moving average of some piece of data. Just click that, and if it can work it out, it's going to do the calculation for you. You don't have to put anything in. It's actually really useful. What I'm going to do though is just take this formula 1. I'm going to make sure that we're on the same axis, so Y1. And then what I'm going to do is have the color as probably green. And I just want to show you how to manipulate the data right here. So we're going to go to M2. I'm going to times that by 4. Just press enter, and that puts us on the chart. So all I've done here is just multiplied the realized price by 4. Now that just gives us a potential zone of above the realized price of where the price gets to. Now you can see this is, fairly good as a metric. Now there are other metrics we can use that work this out, but what we're doing here is saying that the realized price times 4, just moving it up the scale, seems to be good as an indicator of blow off tops. So the price during bull markets seems to get around this, realized price times 4. And that could suggest areas where the price is very, very overdone in terms of, yes, it's had a bull market and it's getting towards a price away from the realized price that is just historically very, very high. And so you can see bear markets and capitulations have now been shown, and bull markets and rises up have been shown, right? So now we have a great chart that we can use with actual data in terms of on-chain, and we can use formulas to manipulate that data any way that we want, or we can just add extra metrics on. So that's how you add metrics and actually manipulate them with formulas as well. Now what we can do here is save this chart. So you can see not saved. We just want to make sure that we save it. So you can come up here and save, name it anything that you want, and that will be in your charts right here. If you want to add more metrics on, you can see them all here and just add them. So you have basically every metric that you could possibly use. And then in the workbench, you can manipulate it pretty much with any way that you want. Between charts and workbench, you should be able to get everything you want done, completed. So we're going to add another formula. So add formula here, formula 2. You can rename this. So I'm going to put MVRV ratio. And what we're doing here is trying to work out the difference between the price and the realized price. So we're going to go M1 divided by M2. We're just going to click that. Now, what is MVRV? It essentially shows us the realized price to price ratio. So I use MVRV a lot, and the green line here, so I'm just going to change this to probably purple color. What we're seeing down here is when the price gets far away from the realized price, that tends to indicate bull markets. So as you can see here, that when it gets very high on the chart, these are bull market here, and then near me, you can see a bull market just above my head. When the price itself gets very low near the realized price, that tends to be bear markets. You can see this ratio tells you that as well. So we have it on the price, but then we have a ratio of this as well. MVRV is a great metric. I use it to just see bear markets. So when MVRV is low, that is a bear market, and you can see that was on the price as well. You can see MVRV low here and then recovery. So bear market into bull, bear market into bull. So we're seeing a ratio of that. Now, if you think, wait, I don't know what MVRV is and how do I plot that? If you go back to charts, so we're going to leave that. We can just search for it here, MVRV, and then we actually have MVRV Z-score. So we can just click it and it just does it for us. So we have that right here. So you can see the price chart, and then MVRV. Green zone is a bear market, which is a buying opportunity for long-term investors. And then when MVRV gets crazy, that's the top of a bull market. And you can see that here. So Workbench is great. All the charts are basically done for you though. But what you can do is just take that data and create it for yourself in Workbench and just change it around a little bit, if you want to. And you can create these unique pieces yourself and then do what you want with them and analyze them over time. Pulses is another great feature on Glassnode. What this does is separate different pieces of data into sectors. For example, top and bottom indicators, on-chain activity indicators, miner indicators. You can see them all here. So if we click on fees total, you can now see fees paid on the Bitcoin network, and you can see this change over time. So what we should see is a spike during bull markets. We saw the ordinals spike right here, where you see fees are spiking up, but they've come down to normal levels again. So you can look at that from pulses. You can also set up alerts. So create alert here. If MVRV gets into the buy zone, you can be alerted. Well, I'm sure you'll know before it alerts you. We can also look at trading view as well. Now, this is a experimental feature. I believe they're just bringing this in. What this does is lets you look at a lot of metrics, but analyze them within a trading view chart. Now, trading view charts are great. You can manipulate this just like a price chart. So let's go over to something else like miners, if we can see that. Miner revenue or something like that. Yeah, miner revenue fees, we can see that. And it's going to plot it on the chart for you, just like the price. Now, what we can see here is, we can make some drawings, or we can circle different bits, and we can have, different lines and trend lines that we can draw on there. That is a really great feature. And so you might just want to use a trading view charts. Workbench is a little bit different, but that feature is there for you to analyze on-chain data and give yourself trend lines and some other analysis. I'll leave the link to Glassnode down in the description if you want to sign up and see what it's like. If you need more info, check out the Crypto Investor course. There's 300 videos there. I update it for free, and you can ask questions to the members in the private chats as well. All links down in the description. I'm James with MoneyZG. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.